People of Reddit, what is your worst well I paid for it, not going to let it go to waste moment? My dad never let me and my brother get non-water drinks at restaurants growing up because they were too expensive. However, one time, my brother convinced him to get a glass of milk. It comes out, my brother takes one sip and says he doesn't like it and won't drink anymore. My dad is furious and forced him to finish it because he already paid for it. On the last sip, he pulls away from the glass in absolute disgust. But we notice the milk form a long, thick string from his mouth to the glass and some solid chunk still at the bottom. Turned out it was expired, rancid milk that my dad forced my brother to drink. He apologized profusely, but it just reinforced the idea that we could never order non-water drinks at restaurants. About 20 years ago, Golden Circle, a juice company, released their own line of soft drinks. We bought some of their creaming soda flavor and it tasted like the smell of paint stripper. But we paid $3 for it and we were gonna drink it, damn it. Until we all started hallucinating. Which lasted a couple of days. It may be worth noting that I have never heard of this particular juice company. You're sure it's real? As a side note, why would you purchase and eat something with creaming in its title? Went to this Mexican taqueria place down the street from me and ordered quesadillas. I'm the only one at the place. Eventually a lady at the counter gestured to me and handed me a bag. I saw that the bag had little cups of salsa on top but did not check the styrofoam container. Got home, opened it up, and it's cold chicken fettuccine and mashed potatoes. Chicken fettuccine wasn't even something on their menu. Only explanation I can think of is that I either got rick-rolled or they gave me someone's lunch that was left out on the counter near the food. Still ate it because of how hungry I was. Was at a ball game, bought an ice cream and it was sort of melting, so I ate it rather quickly while in line. Had it eaten pretty much before I left the line. When I turned around there was a huge line of people. You could feel the judgment. They didn't know the ice cream was melting though. My whole body was hot and I still get heart palpitations to this day when I think of that moment. They didn't know it was melting. It was melting. When I was a kid I went to the Minnesota State Fair and they had a booth with unlimited milk for $1 or some absurdly low price. I was like, I love milk, so anytime I was thirsty throughout the day I'd go back to the milk booth and get a refill. I probably had more than a gallon. After walking around all day in the hot sun with a tummy full of milk, it finally hit me on the car ride home. Worst paid I've ever felt in my whole life, followed by the most unholy crap I've ever taken. 0-10 do not recommend. My friends and I went to what we thought was a tapas restaurant in Spain. When we ordered, the waiter's eyebrows raised a little, but he never said anything. Y'all, we literally ordered like 7 or 8 full entrees. There were 3 of us. They came out with those tray stands and started to bring out these massive meals. The staff were very clearly amused. We felt like absolute morons and sat and stuffed our faces so hard for several hours. We all then got food poisoning one after the other. I ended up vomiting on the floor of a fancy high-end mall beside a bench full of people. I sweated, almost shat myself and vomited for 12 hours straight. I literally laid on the floor of the hostel bathroom with my face on the tile because it was cold. Can you imagine how disgusting that is? But we got our money's worth. Wife and I went kayaking to do the bioluminescent tours in Florida. We got there and they didn't have bathrooms and she had diarrhea. She proceeded to poop in the parking lot and we continued with our tour. Still to this day, the funniest date we've been on. I couldn't stop laughing. Ran a marathon where I hit the wall at 25K. The remaining 17K I was just repeating to myself that I had paid for this and I was going to get my freaking finisher t-shirt no matter what. Absolutely miserable 2 hours. I'm the same boat. Different ocean. Pete and Elda's Pizzeria in New Jersey. The deal was, you eat an entire pie to yourself, you get a t-shirt. Now, 22-year-old me, I wanted this freaking shirt. I could eat half a pizza, why not go for an entire pizza? So, friend and I get the idea, a few others join us. 7 of us, 7 pizzas, 7 opportunities for shirts. Well, my friend and I got 3/4 of the way through our terrible pizzas. Went out for a smoke break. Hyped ourselves up. Then sat back down to finish what we came here to do. Eventually, we did it. Bill comes. Waitress comes over with 7 shirts. Apparently, they just give them away anyway. Regardless of whether or not you are 1 slice or 8. F that place. Planned a weekend away with the guy I was dating, it was for his birthday. We would go to a theme park and stay in a hotel. But in the meantime we decided to break up. We still got on that trip, cause we already booked. At first I thought it was going to be a bit awkward, but it turned out to be really fun and a nice way to close things off. I had a buddy that was going to Disneyland with his girlfriend. He decided to break up with her at the gates to the theme park because in his mind, she'll be sad about the breakup but going to Disneyland would cheer her up. She was holding the tickets, so after he broke up with her, she ran to the gate and got into the park and my buddy just went home. When I was younger, not only would I compulsively finish any book I started, but I would also finish any series it was a part of. I read Twilight to see what the fuss was about, and got a third of the way into whatever the hell the third book is before I looked at myself in the mirror and said, you do not have to finish books you don't like. The worst cake I ever had was $30 for 2 slices. One was red velvet and one was lemon blueberry. It was my mom's birthday and she wanted to go to this gourmet cake place that was every girl's tea party fantasy on the inside. The cakes were even Oprah recommended, which was the reason my mom knew about it. We go to eat it, and the cake is awful. And it's not just, oh it's not my taste, like the cakes just tasted bad. We still ate them because they were $30, but I had to buy my own frosting to get through it. We had a lunch picnic at work and they got a keg of Stella Artois. We all had a few, but it wasn't a huge crowd, so there was like half a keg left. After the party I went back into work for a while, and when I was leaving for home at like 6 p.m. the boss was out there with a folding chair and a plastic cup just diligently ensuring not a drop was wasted. In retrospect, I don't know why I didn't join him. Used to be a volunteer firefighter in my hometown back in the late 1980s. We purchased a keg for a social event, some kind of barbecue thing. Well, it was sparsely attended and we had about half of it left when the event was over. All the younger, unmarried guys, about 10 of us, just looked at each other, sighed, grabbed some plastic cups and lawn chairs and drained the ever-living hell out of that keg. Good thing we didn't have an alarm that night, we was hammered. I ended up walking home, about half a mile. Friend of mine's parents were gone for the weekend. Oh boy, underage nerd male drinking party. One guy had a connection for alcohol, so we pooled all our money for a bottle of Bacardi and some frozen strawberries. Friend put the first batch in the blender and hit the button. He also forgot to see if the blender was clean. Turns out the mom used it for grinding coffee beans. We all sat around drinking these terrible strawberry daiquiris with a lot of ground up coffee bean chunks in them. Ah, the memories. I mixed vodka with low-fat milk because I forgot to buy something to mix it with before the party I was going to. And it was the only thing in the fridge. Adventurous recipe, less cooking. I don't care if the muffins came out like hockey pucks or the cake deflated after it came out of the oven. I made it delish. But the overly salty peanut butter chocolate cake, I can still feel the salt burns on my tongue after just the first slice. No amount of milk, whipped cream or fruit helped that salt. Ate every last crumb of that cake. Took me only 2 weeks. It was a 6 cake. I got a giant bag of Reese's Pieces at the movies once. When I got to the cashier it was something around $30. I was in too deep at that point, so I just paid for it. Must have been a couple pounds of Reese's Pieces, I don't know what I was thinking. Anyway, I ended up slowly eating that bag over the course of a month or 2. I can't seem to enjoy wine. I find red wine in particular to be offensive and have spit it out in the past. I enjoy beer and liquor, but my body rejects wine. Years ago I was at a work event in Napa. Went to the Coppola winery where we had a pretty great dinner and some special wine. People at the table were going apeshit over it. This is so good. Ooh, it's like candy. It was like $300/bottle. It was vile, but I had 4 glasses because it's $300/bottle. Sunbed tokens. Bunked with a guy one time offshore who bought a load at the start of his trip. Was burnt to hell after a few days but still using them. Such commitment. As always, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, show your support. Leave your thoughts and opinions down below.